right, before I dig into the video, everything that I mentioned today is going to be listed up in the description box down below for easy access. So let's get into it. All right, tower gardens in particular, they require kind of a unique lighting arrangement in that you can't just light them from above because everything's going to be growing up the face of the tower. So you need to make sure you have lighting on the sides, illuminating it vertically rather than horizontally. This means that your typical square grow light isn't really going to work mounted sideways. What you would want ideally is something like a 4-foot long light bar that you can hang and allow it to bathe all sides of the tower garden. So Juice Plus, the creators and patent holders of Tower Garden, created these fantastic lights that are proprietary to the tower garden. They clip right on top and they hang over. They look really cool. They're great lights. They're full spectrum, 4-foot long LED lights. They do a really great job. They do have a little more blue than red, so they are meant for a little more of the leafy greens rather than doing big fruiting vegetables in, but we'll get into that a little bit later in the video. And although these lights might seem like a big investment up front, once you start adding up what you're paying for other lights, these actually really aren't a bad deal. They're kind of right in the middle at $360, I think, on average for all 4 lights. They also include a timer built in. One thing that I hate is having the timer down there on the ground by the electrical outlet so that like my cats or my kids or something could happen where if one of those get pushed in, then my whole tower garden is going to be messed up and plants could start dying. So I love the fact that they implemented the timer into the light module at the top of the tower garden. I think that's genius. If you have a Juice Plus tower garden, these would probably be a really great bet if you're just looking for something and you're not a super serious grower. Like I said, the only reason being is that these, although are full spectrum, they are designed to emit photon density heavier in the blue wavelength, which would be more towards leafy greens, more towards your spinach, your kales, lettuce, romaines, all that kind of stuff. They're perfect for that. Now, let's say you made your own tower garden, or you're not trying to spend $300 and some on your grow lights. There are really great options for you too. This is actually my favorite vegetative grow light. This grow light is absolutely perfect for leafy greens. It grows romaine, it grows your spinach, your kale, everything so well. Nothing gets too leggy, nothing's gonna grow too fast or too slow, because what they've done here at Mars Hydro is optimize the wavelength to really be balanced more towards leafy greens. So if we look at the spectrum analysis graph for these lights, we can see that they're much heavier in the blues. This is because when a plant is first starting out, when it's developing its leaves, when it's going through the leafy green, or when it's going through the vegetative growth stage, it wants a lot more of that blue light. It thrives a lot more with the blue light. Blue light really balances the plant between growing big leaves and growing long stems. So you're gonna have a nice bushy, full plant if you use these for your leafy greens. These are a much better bargain too, at $50 a pop on average. I think they're like $109, $110 for the set right now. But then again, you're also gonna have to figure out how to hang these and mount these from the ceiling, and they don't come with a built-in timer. They aren't gonna look quite as cool as the actual Juice Plus lights, but they do perform a bit better. And if you're doing a vegetative tower garden, which is gonna be like leafy greens and spinach and all that kind of stuff, then these lights really are gonna perform better than pretty much anything else on the market. Now, what if you're like me and you want your tower garden to be everything? Like, you want to have your leafy greens on one side, you want to have cucumbers and tomatoes and peppers. I live in Maui and there's chickens and roosters everywhere, if you didn't know that. You want to have, you know, everything. I want to grow cantaloupe and you know, I want to be able to grow everything that I can within the pH range on my tower garden. Well, I might run into issues with both these sets of lights because, like I said before, they're going to be heavier in the blue, purple, ultraviolet wavelength frequencies. They do contain red wavelengths, and that's necessary for photosynthesis, but the issue might be, once I need the heavier photon density, when the plant is photosynthesizing like crazy and it really requires a lot of that red light, it might not be there. If you look at the PPFD map for the lights that I just mentioned by Mars Hydro, you can see that the photon density is fantastic for leafy greens. It's perfect, it's optimized for kale, spinach, romaine, Bib lettuce, all your leafy greens. But when we're talking about fruiting and getting into the vegetative stage, we'd like to see a PPFD of 1000 1000 plus U-moles of light energy. So yes, these lights would suffice. They would certainly allow a plant to go through the entire cycle, but if we're talking about optimizing and we're talking about getting the best fruit, the best bang for our buck, and really taking our tower garden to the next level, both the sets of lights that I just mentioned might suffer a bit when you get to fruiting with bigger plants like cucumbers, tomatoes, stuff like that. So it becomes really difficult to recommend a good like one size fits all light because it really depends on what you're growing. If you're trying to take these big awesome tomato plants and pepper plants to fruit and have the most amazing harvest that you can, these lights probably aren't going to be good for you. But if you're trying to grow amazing leafy greens, they're going to do the job. So the light I would actually recommend for the flowering stage, or if you're growing big, massive plants that want a lot of photons, is the Mars Hydro SP3000. This is a 4-foot, insanely powerful, full spectrum grow light bar. What I would do, and what I'm saving my pennies for right now for my tower garden, is going to be 2 of these on either side of the tower garden, and then I'm going to supplement with these ad light bars that they just came out with, which is so freaking cool. I actually just wrote this book called Synthesizing Sunlight. It's all about how using different wavelengths at different timing through the growth cycle really creates an optimal harvest. So what Mars Hydro did is they created these light bars, which are just going to be a single wavelength, a fixed wavelength. Like they have this red, they have this ultraviolet, and so what you can do is supplement your garden, supplement your tower garden with these ad light bars. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 2 of these big Mars Hydro SP3000s on either side, and then supplement with the appropriate light bars depending on the growth cycle. If you want to know more about that, check out this video right here, this whole video series. Like I said, I also wrote a book called Synthesizing Sunlight on all the ins and outs of using LED lights to grow plants. All right, I hope this is helpful. Let me know in the description box below. Hop over to humblegrowthhydroponics.com. Check out the forum there if you want to join the community of like-minded people like you, and let's keep growing together.